This is a sub lab. I wanted to start off with some preset surfing just to sort of show you what it can do. So it's an 808 synth, essentially a kind of like a cheat code is how I've heard it described. What they did is the Future Audio Works, the people who made this, they took everything you would need to make a dank 808 and just put all of it in one spot, making basically just a dank engine that just spits out amazing 808s as you go. I have a lot of students who actually use this, and I am not let down by the thing. It's pretty dang cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now, it's pretty simple on its surface. Like when I sit down to make an 808, this is what I think. I think, okay, I've got a synth, a sampler, and a X sub tech. This just sort of ensures that there's always some low frequency content in there. It can add harmonics. It can also add a fundamental. A lot of the times I don't have this on just because this is a little too much, but in some patches, it can really be pretty cool to add on there. So we have essentially 3 layers, and we can dial them in with a mixer, filter, distort, compress, and send right on out. They've added a couple features in here specific to making kicks that really make it quite nice. For example, here's a patch called Growler. I can't remember if I fiddled with it or not, so I'm going to come back and just make sure I'm set up where I am. And they have like a sidechain option here. So right now, the synthesizer section's just pumping out this fat, greasy wave. And if I were to mute this right here, the sampler, that's what's coming through. But we can clearly hear the kick come through pretty clearly on the sampler, which is this guy. That's because in the compressor, we have a S-chain option which side chains the sampler to the synth so that when this triggers, we can hear it. If I take it off, that's what we would have had. And if I put it back on, we can hear it come right on through. So that's something that's pretty cool. The compressor also, the threshold knob, or it's not even a knob. It's like a level you can adjust in here. That is so dang intuitive that this should be done more often. This is so clear. It's hilariously clear. So, okay. Anyways, that's the compressor. Let's take a look over here at the synth. So we have a synth, and on this synth tab, we're greeted with these 3 envelopes. We have an amount to dial in if these envelopes actually do anything or not. The volume envelope's just volume, and there's actually a preset in here. Yeah, this one. Like we could wash it out. We could bring the attack back on the volume. We can hear
up. And if I dial it in, though, we can get a lot clickier of a sound. So you can hear those little snaps at the beginning. That could sometimes be a thing I want. But there we go there. Now we also have a filter ability here, and this just interacts with the filter and controls how it turns on and off. And a pitch envelope. Now the pitch envelope only applies to the synth. So when they're the same color, so that's kind of like a hint. I wish it said like somewhere up here, like only synth. That would be kind of helpful, but it's like whatever. So we're able to choose different waveforms. So I'm going to mute the sampler, dial up the synth. And let's pick a patch actually that's got a synth section. Play some higher notes. We can choose our different waveforms. And away we go. We also have the ability to change the octave these exist in and the tuning, but this is really pretty straightforward. After this, the magic that goes on is how the pitch envelope and these envelopes interact along with the distortion unit. So this is getting sent out, and we can send it to a filter. Like right now, 50% of the synth section, because all the synth stuff has got these two circles and this turquoise color. Everything else, the sampler stuff is orange, and then the X sub tech, that's going to be purple. So we're able to send these through a filter. And this can often have some pretty dang big implications on how it works with the distortion. So let's go to like another patch just to get some variety. So let's send the sample on this patch through the filter and adjust it. And we can find some sweet spots that we might want or not want. And the distortion could really do a lot of wonders here. Now, the distortion in this case isn't doing anything. We see it's not turning on. Let's send the sample to it. And let's mute the synth. We're making like hard style now, though. You can also hear how crazy this distortion is. That's kind of what makes it so dang awesome. So let's go to another patch. And we have here a bunch of flavors in the distortion. So in the distortion, we have here 4 flavors, and we have a knob or a slider that will change according to which one you pick. Dark Drive is by far like the edgiest. It brings up the most high content. And if we dial up the filter here, because the synth's going through there and going through the distortion. And then we'll dial up the drive. And what's our synth using? It's using a saw wave. Oh, but it's been dialed back quite a bit. Let's bring it loud. And this one is going to sound just really aggressive on the high stuff. Now what we'll do is we'll go into overdrive. And these tend to just sound a lot more laid back, warm sounding. That's grunge. And that's tube. So there are some things there with the distortion. You also have a low cut, high cut option. Pretty nifty. And again, we have the routing abilities. Same with the compressor. And to top it off at the end here, let's go to just another patch. Let's just keep switching it up. Over here, we have an ability to do widening, so we can make it wide. Just to give it a stereo image. This is something you might not want, but hey, you know, if you want to add that, that could be kind of a cool thing. It's all up to you. You also have a limiter here. So this guy sets where the limiter happens. And this can really begin to widen things up. It's just like a saturation algorithm. It can often make a sound a lot more fat. It also takes away dynamic content though, but it's a kick drum that's meant to sort of be super big and in your face. A lot of people say hard. And so it makes sense that you kind of do this at the end, especially when we're slamming with so much distortion in the first place. So there is a couple other things in here. We have the ability to see what's going on very visually, which is pretty cool. It's really informative, and it's all on one screen, which is super nice. The X sub tech, we're allowed to pick. Let's just dial it in here. We can hear the higher harmonics coming in, but this low stuff, in this patch, it actually works out pretty all right. But I'm going to just remove this. And And we can have just this the harmonics on the low end. And this just ensures there's always harmonic activity down there. You can change how much by dragging, not how much by dragging. Well, dragging up and down is how much. Dragging left to right is like individual change in like the texture. And this is, in some patches, this may have a large impact. In others, like this one, it's not too big of a deal. The low end, though, will be. Just giving us that extra little reinforcement down there. It depends if you want this to be the main piece, or if you have like another bass that's doing stuff, you may want to take this out so that you have room for something else. There's also a glide setting down here, and you can set the way basically interprets the glide. Typically, if I come in here, is to adjust the time. So you can adjust how long it takes to go from thing to thing. I like it on instant. It's what I want. But we can make it slower. We could have it be like an eighth note. Give it a little bit more time to feel out that glide. So that is Sublab. If you have any questions about it, let me know. Just drop some comments down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. There is an affiliate link down below. So if you're interested in actually picking it up, there's a pretty sweet link you could click on. Also, this month, September 2019, on Plugin Boutique, they have a sale going on where if you buy anything off the website, you'll also get expos for free. There'll be a link to that. You can just click any of the links down below for Plugin Boutique. It'll take you right there. And if you buy anything, you'll get this. It's basically a software that allows you to identify problems with your mix or your master. So you can check it before it goes on YouTube if it's not going to satisfy certain requirements. And I have a video on that one as well. If you're curious, you could go ahead and check that out. And that's that. Subscribe and have a blessed day.